Same. Now, it's interesting. It doesn't matter. I mean, I've given talks in various parts of the world, New Zealand, Perth, Melbourne, Africa, Johannesburg. It doesn't matter where you go, people always react the same way. Some people say that's the way tomatoes used to taste. Sometimes you can actually do strawberries. Strawberries are even more profound when you actually taste. Now, if you look at the two waters, look at the difference between the two waters. You can see one is completely yellow. You can see that. It's yellow, and this one is still clear. Now, why is it yellow? It's because of all the, that's right, that have been sprayed on the produce. Now, when you wash your produce in Kangen water, it not only gets rid of the, the nasties that are there, it will also help your produce to last you at least longer, at least 1.5 weeks longer. Okay. Now you can use a lot of, there are a lot of uses for the 11.5 water. You can use it to do laundry, for example. You can see the same analogy. Look at the way it emulsifies the oil. It's the same way that you can use it. You can use the water to wash your clothes. Clean the carpets, for example, if they are soiled, if there's any stains on the carpet. So there are a lot of other uses that you can actually use the water for. Now, what we might do is, let's see what has happened here with having a bath. That's it. Let it go. Yeah, let it go. Yeah, thank you. Now, remember, where's the other one? Because we tested and there was chlorine in the water. Here is what we tested before. So I'm going to test and see if there's any chlorine in the water now. And we're just going to put in a few drops and see if there's any chlorine. So what's happened to the chlorine? Can you see that? What's happened to the chlorine? We're in the skin. Now, we're just cutting an apple here, and what I want to do is, I'm going to put that apple here, because when we get the apples or we get fruits and vegetables from the shop, what do? We come and we wash them in tap water. So I'll put a few of this here. And let's see what happens. So if it has gone to her skin, by the way, what's the largest organ that we've got? So by the way, do you know chlorine is carcinogenic? Yeah? So when we are having a bath for about 30 minutes, where's all the chlorine going? Because the skin is the largest organ, we are absorbing all the chlorine. Okay? Now let's see what happens to this particular. So let's test for the chlorine and see. So where's the chlorine? So my question for you is, when you actually wash your produce, you bring your produce from home and you wash the produce, are you washing the produce or are you washing the water? There you go. Okay. You'll be able to clean your vegetables. You'll be able to make sure that you're not ingesting. Because if you're actually washing the water and then ingesting that particular produce, what it means is that you're actually ingesting all the chemicals that are actually there, even in the water, because it's gone into the produce. Now, what I might want to do at this juncture, I'll ask maybe two people to share with us their experience about Kangen water, very briefly, and then I'll walk you through the machine, and then I might give room for maybe 1 or 2 questions, and then we're going to close. So I might just ask, let me see who I'm going to ask. I might ask James, do you want to share just briefly your experience about the water? James, how long have you been drinking the water now, James?
About a year and a half now.
A year and a half.
Yeah.
Could you just maybe share with the people here what your experience has been? Maybe just briefly explain what got you to get into the water and what your experience has been since.
Yep. Well, I was diagnosed with severe Crohn's disease about 3 years ago now. I was 18 at the time and going for year 12. 6 months prior to my diagnosis, I was noticing I was getting a lot of symptoms of bloating, diarrhea, and I was always rushing to the toilet and I was losing a lot of weight. 2 months prior to my diagnosis, I was even getting a lot of pain around my bowels and I couldn't really work out what was going wrong. It wasn't until my friend's 18th birthday party that year, it was a really bad day for me. I remember the pain being really, really bad. It was like having a knife and just someone was stabbing me in the bowel. I still went to the party anyway, and my friends sort of didn't know what was going on with me. I was sort of like kept to myself at the party and sort of stayed in another room. I was in a lot of pain, and then all of a sudden I got a sudden urge to go to the toilet. But this time when I went to the toilet, I lost a litre of blood, and I had to call up my parents, and they came over and rushed me to hospital. When I got to hospital, they did some tests. They said you're very close to getting a blood transfusion, but you're lucky you were fit at the time, so they didn't have to do that. And then I got a colonoscopy result saying I've got severe Crohn's disease. So they gave me some medication and sent me home. 4 months after my diagnosis, I was still getting symptoms again, and the medication wasn't really working. So I decided to try different things. I tried gluten-free diet, tried dairy-free, tried different medication the doctors prescribed, but nothing was really working. About 8 months after my diagnosis, I ended up losing my job because my health got really bad. Ended up getting really, really depressed, and at one point I was stuck in my room for about 2 months, and I just couldn't get out. I was lost all hope. And then probably after a year after my diagnosis, my mum came to me and said, "You got to try this water." And I said, "Well, I got nothing else to lose. I've tried everything else." So I got onto the water through Lenny. I used to go to his house, pick up, I think it was 10 litres of water, and I would drink that in 4 days. So I was drinking at least 3 litres of water a day. And after 2 weeks of drinking the water, I noticed I started to pick up more energy, and my diarrhea slowed down. After 3 weeks, the diarrhea completely stopped, and I had even more energy. After a month, I noticed that there was no more blood in my stool. I started gaining a bit more weight. After probably 2 months, I was back at work, playing sport again, and had a normal life again. And yeah, I haven't looked back since. So, and even better news, 4 months ago, I got a colonoscopy done after being, I think, a year of drinking the water, and it said my Crohn's disease is completely healed. So, yeah.
Thank you. Thank you very much. You know, I've always said, and people go through a lot when they're unwell, and no amount of money can actually buy that, if you get what I mean. I'll get someone else to quickly share. Maybe Neil, if you wanna, do you wanna come and share your experience? So Neil, do you want to share with the audience here, specifically, first and foremost, how long have you been on the water?
Yeah, look, it'd be around about 18, 19 months now.
Okay, and can you share with us maybe what has your experience been before the water and after the water?
Well, before the water, I was struggling. I had arthritis problems. That was my main problem in my hips, and I was actually told that I should have a total replacement on my right-hand side. And I felt that I was too young really to do that, and I was very active, sport and physical work and that. And yeah, the water, look, I never really drank much water. I drank other things, which I probably shouldn't have, coffee, beer, those sort of things, and I found water was boring, to be quite honest. But I thought, well, what have I got to lose? I'll give it a try, and it's been quite amazing actually. I was in a lot of pain. I was struggling to sleep at night with the hip, and within no time, it was only a matter of weeks, I could notice the pain was a lot less. I was more mobile, and it's been a process since then. It didn't sort of happen overnight, but it's just amazing. And I've been back and had another X-ray just recently, about 3 months ago, and the X-ray shows that my left-hand side is no problems really at all. It's just, it's healed basically. My right-hand side is, it's still giving me some problem, but manoeuvrability, but the actual pain is just minimal. And actually I've just, a neighbour of mine's asked if I could help him out doing some manual labour only last week. And I said, yeah, I'll give it a go. I didn't know how I'd go, and I got through last week okay. It was only a couple of days. And yesterday and today I went along, and it's actually helping him lay slate. Yesterday I was on the cement mixer with the wheelbarrow, wheeling in and back and forth with the wheelbarrow for 10 hours, down on my knees, helping, you know, put grout in and whatnot. And again today, I did 9 hours again today, and I just couldn't believe that the pain is, look, it's about 5%, 10% of what it used to be. So it's just amazing. The water is all I've done really different. So,
Okay. Wonderful. Thank you. Thank you very much. Thank you, Dave. Now, like I said, I know I take people by surprise. And Lucy, I would like you to share with people here, because I met Lucy not long ago, I think about 2-3 weeks ago. And we were having a conversation, and she shared with me something that was really profound. So if you don't mind sharing with the people here,
Yes.
what your experience was with the water.
I went to Maria's factory and she said to me, Lucy, you need to try this water. She had 5 litres of water. I went home and I said, okay, let's try this water. I had this finger that was dead, and I mean dead. I had a cortisone in it. I couldn't use it. I was scared to say at work that my finger wasn't working. And I used to cut vegetables and that like that with my finger like that. I had a lump on my foot here, and I was taking blood thinning tablets for my heart. Within 3 days of going to, actually, where is her name? Edith, because Maria gave me the first lot of water. I was going to Edith's house for water for 3 days. After 3 days, I just rang Maria and I said, Maria, look, I need to get this water, because I couldn't lift my hand. I had arthritis as well. I couldn't do anything. And like I said, mainly my huge lump like that on my leg and my finger, and just worked.
Thank you.
After 3 days, I bought the machine.
Yeah, thank you. And this is what I've always said. It's life experience that teaches. It's not, words do not teach, my friends. You know, and honestly, I can tell you, virtually every 3 days or 2 days, I'll have somebody share something that has happened to them as a result of drinking Kangen water. In my life, my short life of 50 years, it's the most profound thing that has ever happened to me. Not what it has happened to me, but what it has done to so many people. Now, very quickly about this machine. Like I said, you know, it's very easy to connect, by the way. You connect it to your kitchen tap. We've got one there, so after we've done the presentation, you're more than welcome to have a look. It takes about 10 minutes to connect it to your tap. You still be able to use your tap because it has a diverter, so you select whether you want to use Kangen water or whether you want to use your normal tap water. It of course has, you just select what water you want, but just press a button and you select. You get some water that will come from the top hose and some water from the bottom hose. The reason being that the process, when the water gets into the machine, it goes through a filter. The filter will filter off all the kind of nasties that we don't want in the water. And then the water goes through an ionization process. The machine has 7 plates of titanium coated with platinum. It has a cathode and an anode. So as the water is coming through, it is actually, based on the minerals in the water, the water is split. So you have some water coming from the top hose and some water coming from the bottom hose. Now all the waters have various uses. And for this particular machine, which is really the gold standard, this is the machine that really sells most, not only in Australia, but across the world. It has 7 plates. So, because 2 very important things, very important for people to understand about ionization. What will determine the quality of the water? Number 1 is the surface area of the plates, and number 2, the energy that is being used to produce that water. This machine has a total surface area of 1,580 centimeters squared. You're not going to find any machine in the market that has that kind of surface area. And this is why when people drink Kangen water, get the kind of profound results that they get. Secondly, it's the only machine you'll find in the market that uses a transformer. And people will tell you, well, Energic, they are old technology. Thank you for that. They're old technology, they use transformer. Well, there's a very good reason why they use a transformer, is to make sure that you have steady flow of enough energy to produce the water. They'll tell you we've got SMPS. Well, SMPS is switch mode power supply. What that means is that the machine is producing water that is ionized 50% of the time, and 50% of the time it's not, because it switches on and off. Okay? The reason why they do that is because the way the plates are constructed is not good enough in it to be able to maintain or withstand a lot of power. If it did, it would melt. The plates would melt. So that's just for your information. So it will produce the various types of water. It has a filter, so we'll need obviously to replace the filter over time. For a normal average family, it's about 9 months. Of course, it's depending on usage, but about 9 months on average, that's how much we get the use of the filter. And then the machine has what we call an electrolysis enhancer. In order for us to produce the strong acid and the strong alkaline solution, or strong alkaline water and strong acid water, we need to add a silent solution to the water, because those are very high alkaline and very high acidic. And the silent solution for 6 bottles is $20. So it just depends on how much you're using. For example, an average family that is using a lot of those other waters for cleaning, for sanitizing, you probably will use on average about $80 a year. Okay? The filter is $140. I always say, you know, Energic normally has a sale for filters around about December. So I advise people to buy a filter then, which is a good thing. Now, the other thing that is very unique with this machine is that as a result of ionization, you're going to have mineral buildup on the plates. Okay? Now, if you have too much mineral buildup, it means you're not going to have good quality water. This machine has 2 ways to clean the plates. It will clean itself every so often. After 15 minutes of continuous use, it will give you notice of cleaning, and it will clean itself automatically. Secondly, it comes with a manual cartridge that you can actually use to do a manual cleaning. Now, what you do when you're doing the manual cleaning is that you have some crystals that you put in so that you dissolve any buildup of minerals on the plates. For that, it's $42 a year. And the machine comes with enough crystals for the first year. So subsequently, it's just $42 a year. Now, the other aspect that I want to mention about the water is that the water actually, the properties of the water will diminish over time. That's why you're not going to find this water in supermarkets or, you know, being retailed as water. Because, for example, the amount of antioxidant will diminish over a period of time, about 36 hours maximum. Generally, it's best to drink the water fresh, straight from the machine. Why? Because the amount of antioxidant in the water is as a result of extra electrons in the water. And there are things that will affect the water. That is, movement will affect the water. Light is going to affect the water. When you drink the water fresh from the machine, you get the best benefits. So I'm going to allow maybe 1 or 2 questions before we close. So maybe 1 or 2 questions. And every question is valid. Every question is genuine. And by the way, the person who asked the question, you're also going to help other people in the room.
Can you cool this water?
Sorry?
What about cooling? You want to cool?
Cold water. Now, my own advice is always drink water at room temperature, first and foremost. And this is the reason why. Your body is used to a certain temperature. So when we drink very cold water, guess what happens? We are messing up the internals. So my honest opinion is drink as much as possible, drink water at room temperature. Now, of course, sometimes it gets extremely hot, especially during summer. The recommendation I have is make sure that you create ice cubes with Kangen water, and then you put the cubes in the water, because it's going to affect, if you cool the water for a long time, it's going to affect the amount of antioxidant. The 3 properties of the water that we talked about, remember we talked about antioxidant, we talked about microcluster, and we talked about alkalinity. The antioxidant, by the way, that particular aspect of the water is the one that is most important. That lasts about 2, maximum 3 days. The alkalinity will last slightly longer. It can last up to sometimes up to 2-3 weeks. And the microcluster will even last longer. Now, tied to that question is, should I cook with the water? By all means, yes, you can cook with the water. Some of the properties you won't have, but it is the best water that you can use to cook. Some of the foods will cook quicker. It will taste different. By the way, you're a chef, isn't it? Yeah, I can see you're nodding your head. Yeah. Some of the foods will cook quicker, and the taste will be very, very different. Yeah. Another question. Yes, please.
So having your tea and coffee with that is okay, that won't diminish the properties?
Not, well, you'll not be having all the properties, but if you're going to have coffee or tea, you might just as well make it with Kangen water, because first and foremost, it will enhance the flavor of whatever beverage you are having. And secondly, you're not going to use as much. For example, you saw how many cups of tea? We can make a lot of cups of tea, green tea, with just one tea bag. Okay? So it will actually save you money because of the microcluster aspect of the water. For example, if I'm making tea, I can make 4 cups of tea with the same tea bag. Okay. What else, if you're just using normal standard water, you're probably most likely only going to make 1 cup of tea. Yeah, yeah. By all means, we use the water for a lot of cooking. And for example, if you're cooking pastas or rice, beauty water is better than Kangen water 9.5. And it will come with a lot of instructions on what water to use when. And by the way, we'll always come and install the machine for you. We'll come and install the machine for you, and we'll help you at least get to understand how to use the various waters. Yeah. Yeah, by the way, a good comment. You see, I remember still when we started talking to people about this water, some people would say, well, what you're telling us is probably a placebo effect. Now, the truth is, pets do not know anything about a placebo effect. If you start giving your pets Kangen water, guess what? If you now give them, after they've started drinking Kangen water, if you give them normal tap water, they won't drink it. They won't drink it. And by the way, guess where we need to learn? We learn from pets. Because pets are very much in tune with nature. They know what is right for us. You think about it. During the tsunami, not one single animal actually died. They all went inland. Okay? So the water is absolutely phenomenal for pets. By the way, your pets, the coat, it's just like a human being, really. And they really do very well in Kangen water. Yeah. Any other question? Maybe, what time is it? We'll allow maybe 2 more. Yes, please.
How come it's not used in any hospitals in Australia if it's used in Japan?
That's a very good question. And I would say that it's the way we have our health model. Our model of health is very different. The Western world health model is very different from the Eastern world. For example, I'll give you a quick analogy. If you go back maybe about 30, 35 years ago, chiropractic or acupuncture was poo-poo. Yeah. Well, today we have chiropractors and acupuncturists practicing virtually everywhere. It's the same thing with regards to this water. Now, also, in addition to that, Japanese company, I don't know if you've dealt with Japanese company, they are very conservative, and the way they do things in a certain way. This is a company that is 40-year-old. They only went to the United States in 2003. But in Japan, you find one in almost every 5 homes, they have ionized water. And it will it will catch up. It is going to catch up. And what is happening now, we have medical practitioners who are actually noticing and seeing, what have you done? And they are incorporating it. I've got about 4 chiropractors that are actually talking to their patients about this water. So it will get there. Yeah. All right. One last one.
Yeah, here.
Yes.
Here.
Here.
Go here back.
Now, we can laugh about it, but it's interesting. This is what I'll share with you. I personally have not, I shave my hair for different reasons. But it's interesting, and I'll share with you 2 examples. When I started sharing, still in the early stages, I was not even speaking about the water, but I talked to very intimate friends of mine, and they bought machine. The first person who bought the machine, I asked them, this was Bruce, his name is Bruce Woods. I said, Bruce and V, what has been your experience? And Bruce said to me, I don't know about this water, but my hair went soft. And I thought, well, that's a bit weird. What has the water got to do with the hair? Then a few months later, Lenny here buys a machine. And we are having dinner with Lenny, and I said to Lenny, what have you noticed about the water? And he said to me, my hair has gone soft. And I thought, well, there's a pattern here. I was giving a presentation in Kenya, and somebody drank the water. And while we were there, we were actually presenting, and we had about 2 presentations. He came for the first presentation. On the second presentation, she put her hand and said, I want to share something with you. I said, what is it? My hair is growing. I thought, now that's a bit weird. I came back and I was presenting in Melbourne, and there was somebody who had come to my presentation before in Melbourne, about 6 months before, and after 6 months I was there presenting. And he said, you know what? My hair has been growing. Now, this is what I want all of you to understand. Is everybody going to experience the same? No. We are all different. Now, the water is not a cure for anything, but all the water is doing, it's helping the body get back into homeostasis, and then the body will do what it knows best how to do, which is to heal itself. It does not cure any disease. That's one thing that we want. And all that will happen is that I know once somebody starts to drink the water, something will happen. What will happen? I don't know.
You recover the damage.
That's right, exactly.
Recover the damage.
That's right. You're getting the body to really operate or function the way it's supposed to function. And when it starts to function the way it's supposed to function, then amazing things happen. Okay? So, in conclusion, I want to ask you a few questions. First and foremost, have you learned something today? Yes. Now, it is true that somebody invited you here. Is that true? Yes. Now, what would be important? Isn't it good to share knowledge with people so that they can also experience the same thing that you experienced here today? Is that true? Because somebody shared with you this information. And by the way, I've always said, never hesitate to share the information with someone, because you do not know whose life you're going to impact. And I'll tell you what, this water has impacted hundreds of people. So don't shy away, because you never know whose life you're going to completely transform. Are we together here? Yeah. Now, the other thing is, we said that knowledge is power, and it's powerful if it's put to good use. Is that true? Now, if you're ready to get the machine, we now have machines on the ground. And you can do the paperwork, and we'll come tomorrow and install the machine for you. Okay? That's scenario number one. Scenario number two might be there's some questions that you want answered personally. Okay? By all means, I'll be here. Come, ask whatever question, and I'll give you the answer that I believe is right. Okay? Are we together here? And of course, this is the way I conclude. You see, I don't know probably 95% of you. But this is what I would have to say to you. Anytime, and mark my words, anytime you have made a decision about something that you truly wanted or desired, although you didn't know how to get it, you always found a way. Is that true? Raise up your hand if that's true. You see, the truth is, my friends, we don't have as many problems as decisions to make. Did you get what I said? We don't have as many problems as decisions to make. The moment you make a decision, you will always find a way. It's incredible what the human being is capable of achieving. And so I would say to you, make the decision that is right for, and this is what you got to do when you're making a decision. Can I ask all of you here, please, just point to yourself. Please, just point to yourself. You could see everybody points there, nobody points there. When you make a decision, follow your heart. Are we together here? Yeah. Follow your heart, because your heart will always guide you for you to make the right decision for you. Okay? And so in conclusion, I say, thank you very much for being here. Your body is created in such a wonderful and miraculous way. When you do the right thing with the body will truly amaze you. Welcome to the world of Enagic, and for now, our meeting is over. Yours and the person who invited you here has just begun. Thank you very much. Thank you.
Kangen Water is the most important thing you can do to optimise your health. It is the most affordable, practical solution to your health requirements. For additional information and to organise installation of an Enagic water ioniser in your home, or for any further assistance, contact the person who gave you this DVD.